Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm Office Bloke Daz.
I'm Gaynor.
Okay, we are the two of us. If Patreon's your thing, check out the link in the description below. Loads and loads of stuff on there. All for a starting price of just $3 a month.
Yeah.
And that gets you things like Always Sunny in Philadelphia, full watch-alongs.
F is for Family.
Modern Family, quizzes.
Seinfeld.
Yeah, there's loads of stuff on there. I mean, even in the next tier up, and that's even only $5 a month, which you get... what have we done? The long form. We've done the quarterback. Now we're doing the receiver.
Yeah.
We've done the Robbie Williams documentary. There's loads of stuff on there. Absolute loads. Check it out.
Bargain.
Yeah. Why Wyoming is so weirdly wealthy. We looked at Jackson, Wyoming, didn't we?
We did.
And it was just off the charts.
So I'm into country music, and a lot of the country stars live in Wyoming.
Oh, really?
Yeah. They've all got ranches out there.
I imagine you get quite a lot for your money, but isn't Yellowstone Park in Wyoming?
Not far, is it? I
think that's I can't remember, is it Idaho Falls and Teton Pass, is it called, around that area, which we looked at last time, and I'm pretty sure as well, wasn't there a landslide a couple of months back?
That's
you see on the news.
That's the Dixie Chicks.
No, yes, I don't think they're called that anymore.
No, just the Chicks.
Yeah, but I think it was a landslide in that area not long ago. I might be wrong if I'm getting mixed up with Wyoming with somewhere else, but I think it blocked like a main area. Like,
oh really?
Yeah, I think it was like a thoroughfare to go from one sort of like area to Teton Pass, is it called? Something like that. I might be wrong, but anyways, we'll see. Might mention it in this if they do. Wyoming is so weirdly wealthy. Let's go. Tax, I'm thinking, is another one.
Yeah.
Probably big tax breaks.
Wyoming is objectively not an attractive place to live. Its winters feel brutal and endless, and reality agrees. From September through May, snow accumulates and drifts into one of the highest totals for any state in the US, fueled by some of the most chilling cold on the continent. But then there's the wind. It's ferocious. Mountains funnel it through the state's uniquely massive valleys, regularly speeding it to 50, 60, 70 miles per hour. It is not at all uncommon that Interstate 80 stretched through the state has to close to trucks. Their height acts as a sail, and the wind will quite literally just blow them over. For those that brave the blizzards, there's not much reward. The largest city in the state is what other areas of the country would call a town. Cheyenne hosts just 65,000 people. Rather few white-collar industries have set up in the state, meaning the few jobs that do exist in the cities are far from lucrative. And out in the rural areas that dominate the state is what academics bluntly describe as some of the worst quality land in the country. With short growing seasons, limited water supply, and poor soil nutrition, even the abundance of open land attracts little agriculture. While the state certainly has a charm and allure that attracts some to its barren landscapes, the simplest, most straightforward measure of state attractiveness, population, indicates that Wyoming simply is just not an attractive place to live. And yet, Wyoming is home to oodles of wealth. In fact, it is home to so many oodles of wealth that the state has earned the superlative of the highest concentration of billionaires on a per capita basis in the entire country. And specifically, with remarkable consistency, they're here. Teton County. Back in the 1980s, it perhaps seems strange that Harrison Ford, at the peak of his fame, opted against the glitzy ascendant ski towns of Aspen or Sun Valley, but rather for this 800-acre property in Jackson, Wyoming, a comparatively sleepy cowboy town. Since then, the exclusive ranch nestled along the Snake River has become his home away from Orange County, his vacation house. But mere Hollywood riches feel almost middle class in Teton County. North of him, there's Amy Weiss, daughter of a Swiss medical manufacturing legacy who inherited more than $2 billion and calls this corner of the country home. Just down the road, there's former US Vice President and Halliburton CEO Dick Cheney. And a few miles further, there's John Mars, the richest man in the state and the 33rd wealthiest person on the planet, living in a relatively modest $6 million house nestled in a surprisingly nondescript neighborhood near the Jackson Hole Golf and Tennis Club. But Jackson isn't known for fame. It's known for wealth. So the core of its ultra-wealthy class is filled by an endless array of private equity partners and oil executives and tech CEOs with no notable name recognition. The area just punches far, far above its weight in terms of ultra-high net worth individuals. And of course, Teton County, the epicenter of this absurd wealth, regularly ranks as the single county out of thousands with the highest adjusted gross income in America. So what rectifies this paradox? Why does the state least successful at attracting people simultaneously rank as the most successful at attracting those with the greatest ability to choose where they live? How has Wyoming become so weirdly wealthy? Well, for one, Teton County bears little resemblance to the rest of Wyoming. Situated on the southern end of the Jackson Hole Valley, Jackson, hemmed in by peaks, surrounded by glacial lakes, is arguably the most attractive spot in the state. With easy access to 2 national parks, 3 ski areas, and millions of acres of national forest, it's a destination where visitors and residents alike can ski, hike, bask in the country's rugged beauty, and wax nostalgic for a time.
I don't know, look at that.
Yeah, it's stunning,
Eh?
isn't it?
I know we definitely talked about Jackson, Wyoming before, didn't we?
a lot of people said to us, don't move there unless
Yeah.
you love
I imagine it could
ice
be a
cold
spot.
snow.
Yeah, I mean, I imagine it's so cold in the winter that I imagine it's a seasonal thing for because if it's that rich, who's going to work there?
Well,
you need people to work there, don't you?
Yeah, I think the people who have got those massive houses are there just to escape the hustle and
Yeah.
bustle.
What do you think? Just sort of like stay.
Yeah.
But imagine these also like if these hotels.
Work from home.
Imagine people get accommodation and all that anyway paid for. You know, like it's all part of the parcel of bringing people into work, and then I'm guessing it's seasonal though. But then if it's cold, I imagine you get the snow season, ski season,
Skis, yeah.
and then the summer season,
Yeah.
and then the other spring and fall will probably be like, you know, getting ready for it all.
Yeah.
Before modern life, while simultaneously dining at fancy restaurants, flying directly in and out, and shopping at suburban staples like Whole Foods and Target. This is all relatively new. A century ago, Jackson was a remote ranching town with more cattle than people. Similar to iconic resort towns like Aspen and Sun Valley, it quickly transformed from a ranching outpost into a vacation destination in less than 50 years. Specifically, it was the establishment of Grand Teton National Park, followed by the arrival of skiing with the Jackson Hole Mountain Resort in the 1950s and 60s that put Jackson on the map. A compelling stop for road-tripping families in the summer and chic ski clientele in the winter. The transition from hidden gem to national wealth magnet was quick. Not long after Harrison Ford moved to the valley, James Baker, George H.W. Bush's Secretary of State, declared Jackson Hole to be one of his favorite places. That year, Jackson attracted international attention when Baker brought American and Soviet diplomats to discuss bilateral arms control policies and clarify the USSR-US relationship with the fall of the Berlin Wall. Today, so much money continues to flow in that the town's services are racing to keep up with the demand this wealth imposes. On its peak day last August, some 156 planes took off and landed at the Jackson Hole Airport, and almost all of them were private. There are so many private jets, in fact, that in early 2024, county officials approved the construction of a new $50 million private aviation facility for increasingly frequent Gulfstreams and Bombardiers flying in from Teterboro, Love Field, and Van Nuys. Among approvals in this project is Hangar 3, a 30,000 square foot facility in which to park private planes. There are also design plans for 2 more hangars totaling
Different world, isn't it?
Yeah, it's Teterboro, New Jersey.
Teterboro's New Jersey, yeah.
an additional 58,000 square feet of aircraft space. Such expansion makes sense. Jackson Hole presents the perfect, seemingly untouched landscape for coastal elites to project their fantasies onto, an authentic western town far from the problems of urban life. But there are countless towns across the American West that provide such a refuge, and few have reached the absurd levels of wealth as here. While Jackson is the epicenter, there's a broader shift occurring across Wyoming. While wealthy residents are surging in Teton County, they're in-migrating to other parts of the state in large numbers too. Take Lincoln County, for example. It's not home to the state's capital and most populous city, Cheyenne, nor does it contain any of the bigger cities in Wyoming. It's mostly rolling plains, vast skylines, and just a few people scattered every square mile. In fact, its largest town, Kemmerer, is home to just 2,500 residents. Yet this county's transplanting residents have a mean income of $149,000, an outsized number for a region with little going on. Here, like Teton County, people are drawn to its landscapes. It's no surprise that the second Wyoming county to experience this wealth surge is tucked into the same part of the state, offering residents mountains, rivers, and an escape from the hustle and bustle. But most importantly, beyond the lakes and the peaks and the trails and the streams, Lincoln County, like Teton County, is still in Wyoming and therefore happens to offer another crucially enticing advantage: tax benefits.
There you go.
While sections of Wyoming are as ruggedly beautiful and wildly magnetic as the country in Colorado and the mountains of Montana, what sets this state apart are its uniquely lax tax laws. Through a layering of partnerships, companies, and trusts, the state has become a de facto tax haven where everyone from Russian magnates, Spanish royalty, and wealth-amassing Americans can park some escape plan cash thanks to a creative concoction called the cowboy cocktail. What started here in Cheyenne as the formation of the Limited Liability Corporation in 1977 transformed many times and with many signatures over the decades. Today, the base ingredient is a Wyoming-based trust, which is then mixed with the layers of private companies and concealed ownerships, all created to provide protection and secrecy to those doing business in the state. But this sits at the center of Wyoming's conundrum. The exact policies that attract such massive amounts of wealth to the state prevent that same wealth from disseminating through the state. For example, the top 1% in Teton County averages $22 million in income, and about 75% of that income is typically passive, earned mostly from investments, meaning residents are earning the vast majority of their wealth not by working. This echelon is setting up residency in the state en masse in order to keep more of those gains because their exorbitant amount of money can go even further. There is, after all, no income tax, and there's no wealth tax in Wyoming. And so when wealth leaves billionaires' pockets in Wyoming, it's primarily to pay those in low-wage service sector jobs like landscaping, bartending, or ski patrolling. Like anywhere, trickle-down economics just isn't enough. There are massive amounts of money moving through the state, but it's a pass-through, not a stay-put. Without that reinvestment or taxation, Wyoming doesn't gain much more than a superlative for the richest county per household or most billionaires per capita. And that creates some dystopian contrast. Here, not far from the home of billionaire John Mars, on this 18-hole semi-private course, a stark divide becomes apparent as there are the people that play the course, and then there are the people that work it. Billionaire and mega-millionaire golfers a few holes in, for example, will inevitably interact with the course's beverage cart attendant, perhaps buying a round of beers and leaving a tip. This cart employee, who just signed on for the season to serve cold cores to parched patrons for $15 an hour, also lives nearby. With their employee contract comes guaranteed housing, but it's not exactly lavish. For $98 a week, they are bunking up in a double dorm room off-site, and in some cases, living out of an RV with a free hookup site. Here, where the cost of living is 37% higher than the national average, this employee needs to make $47,000 annually to break even, according to living wage estimates. And yet, at $15 an hour, assuming a full schedule of shifts, they're barely raking in just 2/3 of that, at $30,000 a year. So, just to make ends meet, after a day shift on the course, the attendant turns to waiter, working an evening shift at the Snake River Grill where a 32-ounce Wagyu steak runs $205, half of their monthly rent. And if they themselves want to go out on their off day, they'll have to budget, as all of these restaurants have an average price range of $31 to $60 per person. Local restaurant and bar, one of the priciest in town, starts at $76 for two, assuming you're having burgers. The price quickly shoots up to $200 or $300 if one fancies a premium cocktail and any other entree. The truth is, the only thing steeper than the 13,000-foot peaks framing much of the region is the economic stratification among its residents. The top 1% of people in Teton County, earning an average $22 million per year, make 132 times more than everybody else. This gap, the highest wealth gap in the country, just keeps widening as Jackson's newest residents have a mean income of $661,000 annually, while everyone else averages $94,000. To put that in perspective, compare it to Aspen. Its glamorous counterpart, perhaps more often used as an example for being unattainable. And yet, Pitkin County, home to Aspen, ranks number 7 on the list of America's highest wealth gaps, where the average income of the top 1% is $6.6 million, just a quarter of the average in Teton County. Pitkin County is, notably, a pocket of the country where more than 50 billionaires have homes, but the gap between those elites and the rest of the town is counterintuitively far narrower than what's found in Wyoming. The stratification is on steroids in Teton County, and this increase in uber-wealthy residents raises the price on everything for everyone. Basic services are more expensive, childcare is costly, a simple hamburger is even more, because those at the top are willing to pay the premium. And
I was going to say, it doesn't matter, does it? No. It's the people who, it's the regular people who live there.
Yeah.
People who grew up there or been there for, the families have been there for many years.
Yeah.
They're the ones that can't sustain that.
No.
And the wealthy have made this massive enclave of where they're all going to be together, if you want, and they're all going to be playing golf together. So you can go and play golf at that Teton Golf Club, whatever it was called, Teton Hall Golf Club.
Yeah.
And you're playing with Mars or you're playing with Dick Cheney or whoever it may be. Everyone's a name.
Yeah.
But the money's sort of like being put through from, I think he even said there, Russian Russian money or
Spanish.
The Spanish royalty, and I'm sure the Middle Eastern sort of like people have got their money in there as well.
Yeah.
And it's just it's crazy money. It's rescue money, it's escape money, like you said. Very strange. This is. Well, I don't know why people would stay there if that's the case, or even cater for it. But I guess if some of the tips you may get.
I was going to say, hopefully they're generous to the staff.
But yeah, you're not guaranteed that though, are you?
No.
You're only guaranteed a percentage. But I guess if the stake's $200, you're looking at your 20% tip on your bill, and they're going to be drinking wine and all that kind of stuff. So your percentage of your tip should be okay.
Yeah.
It should still be above your average, wherever you go. But it's I don't know. It's a bit
Very
strange on this, yeah.
Highest premium is real estate, where astronomical housing prices drive up the price for everyone. They're also making it harder for anyone else to get in. Those with enough money to own property here, the Harrison Fords, the Dick Cheneys, the Forbes 100 CEOs, live on vast ranches that manage to feel a world away from downtown. And crucially, they've made every effort to ensure their properties remain that way. Untouched, pristine landscapes with unobstructed views of the Tetons. While the establishment of Grand Teton National Park ensured that much of the valley would stay development-free, new residents have made new construction even more difficult through one simple trick: conservation easements. Much like the Duttons on the TV series Yellowstone, wealthy Jackson Hole residents use conservation easements as an oblique way to protect and grow their properties' value. Say you're a New York stock trader wanting to escape the daily grind. You visit Jackson Hole and fall in love with it, where you decide to buy this multi-million-dollar property to relocate to with a mansion and 50 acres. In discussing the move with your financial advisor, they recommend a conservation easement to protect your new property's value. By transferring the development, surface mining, and subdivision rights of 49 acres to the Jackson Hole Land Trust, you can retain ownership of the entire property, get a hefty tax deduction, and ensure your $1 million view is protected in perpetuity. It's perfect. You can claim a charitable deduction of up to half your yearly income for 15 years after it's appraised and reduce your estate and property taxes.
Holy shit.
Plus, it makes your home more valuable in the long term. As demand and scarcity inevitably rise, you won't have to worry about any lower income housing being built on your property. It's purportedly altruistic, yet at almost no downside to you personally. Although your land is conserved for public benefit, you don't have to maintain public access to it. It'll still be your property, as well as your future heirs, and it ensures that your house is the only development that will ever be built on it. Conservation easements are a practice that's allowed Jackson Hole Land Trust to hold more than 55,000 acres in trust in a region where over 97% of the land is federally protected. There's an extremely severe limit on where homes can be built here, which has taken property values to new, seemingly impossible heights. A place where wealthy folks can rest easy, knowing they're the only ones who could afford to live there. And yet, with the Cowboy Cocktail's clandestine structure and Wyoming's lax tax policies, all of this wealth is sealed behind Teton County's gilded borders. For those who happen to live anywhere else in Wyoming, their proximity to massive wealth doesn't tangibly help them. Nowhere else has seen the levels of gentrification and modernization Jackson has experienced, and in spite of other attractions like Devil's Tower and the Wind River Range, no other region sees as much visitation. In fact, Wyoming's poverty rate is nearly equal to the national average of 11%, even though its average cost of living is comparatively lower. Teton County's wealth, then, is a stagnant force that largely circulates in and around Jackson Hole to satisfy its residents' idiosyncratic whims. So what pays the bills for the other Wyoming is that physical resource economy. Wyoming's located on some of the biggest shale, oil, and coal deposits in the nation. Collectively, these deep currents have created an unrivaled treasure trove that's still paying the bills. Drilling and mining succeed here precisely because it doesn't have many people. Oil and gas companies are essentially free to drill where they want to. All that's required is paying slightly higher taxes. Between property and value-imposed taxes, extraction now funds nearly half of the state budget. It's so valuable that when it comes to higher education, a sector that's often first on the chopping block for state budget cuts, the University of Wyoming has a comparatively low tuition rate. It averages less than half of its counterparts in neighboring states. But relying so heavily on taxing a single industry could be fatal, as any loss in severance or property tax revenue will impact crucial services. For as much carbon as there is here, it's not endless. Wyoming's coal production peaked in 2011, and its natural gas revenue is down by 74% in just over a decade. In 2020, Wyoming's governor even commented that small towns may have to be abandoned if the cost of maintaining them grows. The unfortunate truth is, when the wells run dry and the coal fields are finally laid bare, not much will be left of Wyoming. the last functioning economy may very well be the greater Yellowstone region, which includes Teton County. That's because, beyond the ultra-wealthy part-time residents who park their money here, millions of regular people from around the world visit to see the region's massive geysers and towering peaks, staying in gateway communities whose economies are buoyed by their presence. In 2021, Yellowstone visitors alone generated $834 million in economic benefits to the region. Like in Jackson, vast untouched landscapes protected from development have become extremely valuable, but while tourism economies have their struggles, these gateway communities are still more livable for the working class than Jackson. But even as tourists visit and tax revenue grows, as extraction fades and vacationing becomes a lifeline, Teton County's pre-existing problems will worsen. The rising cost of housing in and around Jackson Hole has driven prices skyward across the greater region, even in those comparatively cheaper gateway communities. For years, Yellowstone National Park has struggled to recruit employees to work in the park because of housing prices, with a $40 million anonymous donation specifically for affordable housing offering a measure of respite in the future. Many of those who have been boxed out of housing anywhere in Jackson Hole now commute from cheaper communities in Idaho over the treacherous Teton Pass, but the rising prevalence of million-dollar homes near Driggs and Victor threatens to push them even further away.
I think that's where he heard there was a landslide, Teton Pass.
Really?
Yeah, and it's blocked the road leading into Jackson Hole or something like that. Let me know if I'm right on that. I'm sure I read it, or it was on the news not long ago.
So today's cycle will continue. Teton County will continue to exist, fueled by the exorbitant cash the wealthy spend on their vacations, but the wealth divide will continue to deepen, driving out the thousands of underpaid workers who can never afford to call this place home. Wyoming may be one of the wealthiest states in the country when measured in one very particular way, but it's simultaneously one where a given working class individual has perhaps some of the lowest likelihood of accumulating wealth themselves. Wealth in Wyoming is not grown or spread or shared. It rather simply exists.
Incredible.
Crazy.
Is that the end? I don't know.
In the winter, Wyoming essentially has two key industries, skiing and coal mining. Both are pretty fascinating with huge operational complexity, which is why we made two videos about the logistics of each. Both are part of our Nebula original series, The Logistics.
Yeah, that's it. But yeah, I mean, that's just, when you look at it now, it's a global problem. I think when you look at housing for low end workers,
Yeah.
or when I say low end, low earning workers,
Yeah.
so your bar staff, your catering staff and things like that. When you look at Spain are going through a similar thing now, where since the work from home initiatives come about since the pandemic,
Yeah.
people don't have to live in. When you look at the UK, for example, people don't have to live in London,
No.
so they're selling up the $2-3 million homes. And then they're going to like Spain. They're buying a house somewhere rural, working from home, and then buying a second house in like Spain or some of the Tenerife or
Yeah.
some of the islands that got warm climates.
Yeah.
And it's now them homes were used to be rentals, and now they bought them and they're just not using them.
Yeah.
So people who work there can't get a rental, or
Yeah.
the rental price has gone right up, so they can't afford to work there or
No.
live there.
Yeah.
So it's like they're losing staff like crazy. So it's like these resorts, and I guess it's similar there.
Yeah.
People won't want to live there, and they
No.
won't want to cater to that.
No.
You get some people who might come who's like, your university students or your college students who are going in there, and they'll say age 19, 20, 21. You're not going to get someone our age working there doing that.
No.
It's just not worth it.
No.
There's no value, no benefit for it.
No.
But it seems like the money that's being hidden as well is a little bit
Okay.
shady as well. But anyway, good that video.
Yeah.
Yeah, enjoyed it because it explains a lot about Wyoming.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people, like you say, Yellowstone and places like big iconic sort of like tourist attractions. So
Yeah.
see what happens there in the future. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and see you on the next one.
Bye.
Cheers.